The lights inside the studio were blinding in their usual way, a hazy white glow that washed over every shiny surface, every crease in the host's clothes, every flicker of excitement from the audience. The View set always hummed with anticipation before a big guest arrived, but today it buzzed like a live wire. Austin Butler was minutes away from stepping out, and even the seasoned camera crew seemed a little sharper, a little more alert, as if a Hollywood star required them to stand straighter and breathe quieter. Backstage, Austin adjusted the cuffs of his jacket while a makeup artist dabbed one last sweep of powder across his cheekbone. He gave the woman a polite smile in the mirror, but his mind was already on the interview ahead. He'd done 100 talk shows, and this one was supposed to be simple, friendly chatter, a few behind-the-scenes anecdotes, a clip from his new film. His publicist had gone over the approved questions twice. "You're set," the makeup artist said. Austin nodded, rolling his shoulders back. "Let's do it." A stagehand guided him toward the wings just as Sunny Hostin shuffled her note cards at the table, though she wasn't reading them. She watched the monitor instead, her expression focused, almost too focused. The other hosts chatted casually while the floor manager counted down, but Sunny's stillness stood out. Producers near the cameras exchanged glances. None of them had seen the particular look in her eyes since the last time she derailed an interview into viral territory. The intro music swelled, the audience clapped wildly, and Austin stepped on stage with that charming half-smile he'd perfected over years of red carpets and press tours. He waved, hugged Whoopi, shook hands with Joy and Anna, and mouthed, "Thank you," at someone cheering in the front row. Everything felt easy, controlled, the exact energy he expected. He took his seat, crossing one leg over the other. The crowd settled, the applause faded, and Whoopi began the standard warm welcome. Austin answered her first few questions effortlessly, how the training for the film went, how he connected with his character, what drew him to the script. He was relaxed, leaning into the armrest, even laughing when Joy cracked a joke about his movie star hair. But then Sunny cleared her throat and leaned forward, her fingers tapping lightly on her stack of cards. "Austin," she said, her voice smooth but carrying an unmistakable edge, "before we dive further into the film, I want to ask you something that's been circulating quite a bit this week." Austin looked at her politely, unaware of the shift coming. "Sure," he said. "What's that?" The studio temperature seemed to drop a degree. Sunny held his gaze. "There's been a lot of talk online from a crew member on your previous project. They claimed you were difficult. That you refused certain scenes unless they were rewritten at the last minute. That you held up production. Would you like to respond to that?" A stunned murmur rippled across the audience. The other hosts froze. Joy blinked twice. Anna raised her eyebrows in silent alarm. Whoopi's lips pressed into a straight line. This wasn't on the cards. Austin inhaled slowly, masking his initial shock with practiced calm. But the slight tightening of his jaw gave him away to anyone paying close attention. "I wasn't aware we'd be discussing that," he said, his voice even but noticeably cooler. Sunny didn't flinch. "It's public. People are curious. We just want your perspective." A producer behind the camera shook his head frantically, slicing the air with his hand, signaling, "Move on." But the signal was ignored. Austin shifted in his chair. He wasn't angry yet, but he was thrown off, and his mind raced through the possibilities. Address it and risk validating a rumor. Dismiss it and seem evasive. The interview had taken a sudden turn into unpredictable territory. He let out a measured exhale. "I'm proud of my work," he said carefully. "And I've always treated my colleagues with respect. Anything outside that is just noise." Sunny wasn't satisfied. "So, you're saying this crew member is lying?" Joy shot Sunny a look. "Sunny," she muttered under her breath, warning, but not loudly enough to stop the train already barreling forward. Sunny kept going. "I'm asking because viewers expect honesty. That's what this table is known for." Austin blinked, and the polite Hollywood veneer cracked just slightly. His voice dropped half an octave, not louder, just firmer, sharper. "I came here to talk about my film," he said. "Not rumors from someone looking for attention." The audience gasped softly. A couple of people whispered. Someone in the back said, "Oh damn," before catching themselves. Sunny held her ground. "But you can see how fans might want clarity." Austin sat back, crossing his arms loosely. His expression hardened. Not rage, but frustration. The kind of frustration that builds when agreements are broken, when trust is assumed and then pulled out from under you on live television. Backstage exploded into motion the moment Austin disappeared through the side door. The hallways behind the View were normally a controlled sort of busy, producers with clipboards, assistants carrying coffee, makeup artists waiting for touch-ups between segments. But now everything felt jagged and chaotic, electrified by what had just happened on live television. Voices overlapped, headsets crackled, and every doorway seemed filled with people trying to figure out what to do next. Austin walked quickly, the tension in his shoulders making each step sound sharper than the last. He ran a hand through his hair, exhaling hard as he rounded the first corner. An intern chased after him with wide, terrified eyes, holding Austin's earpiece and mic pack like fragile relics. "Mr. Butler, your mic, can I just—" Austin stopped long enough to unclip the last wire himself and hand it over. "Thanks," he said, not harshly, just tightly. The intern nodded, relieved he hadn't been snapped at, and scurried away. Behind them, a senior producer broke into a near jog, one hand pressed to his headset, the other reaching out as if trying to grab Austin's attention. Austin, wait, just 1 second. Austin kept walking. "Please," the producer insisted, picking up pace. "Just give me 1 moment." Austin stopped at the intersection of 2 hallways, jaw clenched, eyes dark with the kind of heat he was trying to keep controlled. He turned slowly, his voice low. "Was that supposed to happen?" The producer held both hands up like he was approaching a startled animal. "No, absolutely not." Sunny went off script. "We are dealing with it. We apologize." Austin shook his head, letting out a humorless laugh. "You're dealing with it. Great. Meanwhile, I get ambushed in front of a live studio audience." "We know," the producer said quickly. "And I promise you, this wasn't our intention. We value you being here." Austin's gaze hardened. "Doesn't feel like it." The producer swallowed. He wasn't a small man, but right now he looked like someone who desperately wanted to disappear. Can you at least stay until we finish the show? We can smooth it over. We can even address it on air, make a statement." "No," Austin shook his head, "I'm not going back on that stage." Before the producer could respond, a new set of footsteps echoed from the far end of the hallway, measured, fast, and unmistakable. Sunny Hostin appeared around the corner, still in her bright studio attire, still looking composed in the way only someone trained for live television could be. But something in her eyes was different now, less fire, more tension. "Austin," she called, her voice calmer than it had been minutes earlier. Austin stiffened. The producer stepped back as if giving them space, or avoiding being caught between them. Sunny approached, stopping a few feet away. She held her note cards at her side, though she wasn't looking at them. Her expression was steady, but her breath came a little faster, the only sign she wasn't as cool as she appeared. "I think we should talk," she said. Austin wasn't shouting, but he didn't bother masking the frustration in his voice. "What's left to talk about?" Sunny straightened her shoulders. "I asked a tough question. It's my job." He let out a long exhale. "No, your job is to ask fair questions. Honest questions. What you did out there wasn't fair, it was an ambush." Sunny's jaw shifted slightly. "It wasn't meant to be." Austin stared at her for a full second, reading her. "Then what was it meant to be?" A flicker of hesitation crossed her face. "It wasn't guilt exactly." Sunny Hostin rarely apologized outright, but there was something softer creeping in around the edges of her expression, something that wasn't there during the segment. "I saw the story online," she said more quietly. "And when something gets traction, people expect me to ask. Viewers expect transparency. And I expect the show to respect what we agreed on," Austin countered. "Your producers gave us a list. I looked at it. My team looked at it. You blindsided me." Around them, the bustling hallway slowed, stagehands pretending to check cables, makeup artists pausing mid-step, assistants pretending to scroll their phones while clearly listening. Everyone sensed this was the real moment, not the televised blow-up. This was the one that would determine whether the situation ended as a headline or a feud. Sunny looked down briefly, then back up. "I could have handled it differently." It wasn't an apology, but it was the closest she usually came. Austin rubbed the back of his neck, the anger slowly melting into exhaustion. "You put me in a position where anything I said would have blown up online." "I know," Sunny said quietly. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The noise of the hallway hummed around them, filling the empty spaces between their words. Suddenly, a loud voice echoed from around the corner. "Are we done fighting yet, or should I bring popcorn?" Joy Behar stepped into view, holding a granola bar like it was a peace offering. Her eyebrows shot upward in that familiar, "Are you kidding me?" way she'd perfected after decades on television. Sunny closed her eyes, caught between irritation and amusement. Austin couldn't help it, he exhaled what almost qualified as a laugh. Joy walked up to them. Seriously, she said, looking between them. We still have a show to finish. And right now the audience is sitting there making conspiracy theories like it's their full-time job.